as we enter the final lap of Season 3 of F1 22 My Team Career Mode. Sebastian Vettel going for his 5th World Championship. Albon, myself, Leclerc for our very first. Vettel moves to the inside to defend. Albon on the outside. This is it. And could we come through to maybe steal it from both of them? 3 wide down the back straight. Vettel and Albon on the inside of us. Can we go the long way around? Albon's rear end steps out, but Vettel remains strong and holds the P1. He's done enough. He's going to lead an Audi 1-2 across the line and secure his 5th World Drivers' Championship. Sebastian Vettel is the Weltmeister. Well, the end of Season 3 of F1 22 My Team Career Mode certainly had a very different vibe to that of the end of Season 2. And even though we're left with still chasing our very first Drivers' Championship on this game, I couldn't not be happy to see Sebastian Vettel becoming a 5-time World Champion. And he was a new man last season. I think a lot of you really enjoyed seeing a reborn Sebastian Vettel. Some awesomely aggressive moves throughout the entire season, consistency and out-and-out speed in qualifying to last. And ultimately, as a pairing, it came good, and we were able to secure our very first Constructors' Championship. But as ever in Formula 1, at the end of one season into the start of the next, everything gets reset to 0, and you go again. And we've got a lot to fight for in Season 4. We've got to dig deep if we want to try and actually win the Drivers' Championship the 4th time round. But competition is going to be fierce. The pack was already so close in Season 3, and it may get even closer with a major regulation change. And those changes come to the aerodynamics and engine, so it really could be a massive shake-up. But going into this brand new season, we approached Sebastian Vettel to see if he wanted another year back in the sport. Remember, he was meant to retire at the end of Season 2, delayed that retirement because he believed in this project, believed in Audi, and it paid off. He's now a 5-time world champion and will be returning to the grid for a 2nd season in the Audi Sport Formula 1 family. But our driver transfer business is not done yet. Yep, your eyes aren't deceiving you. We are indeed approaching a 2nd driver to sign to our team. Audi Sport is interested in signing the services of Carlos Sainz. He was at Repsol Haas, but after a really tough Season 3 where the team did not live up to his expectations of where they were looking likely they were going to go at the start of the season, he's had enough and he wants to jump ship, and he has agreed to sign for us. And so Carlos Sainz, along with Sebastian Vettel, join the Audi Sport Formula 1 family. Now, you might be wondering, how on earth is this going to work? Because we've just signed 2 drivers and we've only got 2 seats. And of course, I'm definitely still driving in Season 4 as my own driver. All will be revealed eventually in this video, so stick around. But right now, we need to turn our attention to those massive regulation changes to aerodynamics, powertrain, and durability technically, but I think most teams are going to focus on trying to adapt the powertrain and aerodynamics, and that's what you're seeing right here. So we waited right to the end of the activity timeline for the Season 3 calendar year to try and get as many R&D points as we could with the weekly resources you get in-game. And so now we're looking to try and purchase and adapt the maximum amount of upgrades that we can carry over into the next season. So I've gone for all the ultimate and major upgrades on front, rear downforce, drag reduction, pure engine power, ERS, and fuel. And I've left about 3 minor upgrades on the front and rear downforce, about 3 on the engine power, 2 to 3 on the ERS and fuel, and they're all, I think, mostly minors. There might be one major in there, I think, on the aerodynamic side with the DRS upgrade, but I've done my maximum of trying to get the largest upgrades and adapt them for next season, because my thinking is, with the minor upgrades, they're going to cost a lot less. So even though we're going to start off the new season with, it looks like, 4 R&D points to our name, hopefully we can rapidly start to get those upgrades going, and because they cost the cheapest amount compared to the other ones we've adapted just now, hopefully we'll be able to get this car back to where it was at the end of Season 3 sooner rather than later. But it's going to be an interesting one, because remember, this entire career mode series, we've had reduced R&D, the AI have had increased R&D, so they are actually going to be in a much better position probably to adapt more parts, because they also plateaued their upgrading like I did in the last 2-3 episodes of last season. So even though I think we've done quite a good job, the best job we could have done with the tools at our disposal, I think we're going to start the season again right in a tough mid-pack with a lot of different teams around us. But the difference is, this time round, we're not going to start this season bankrupt. We've got HQ facilities on the go. We're not bottlenecked by that, because we've got a load of prize money for getting first place in the championship. So that's going to be the big difference in Season 4, as we can rapidly upgrade straight away. And we better hope those upgrades come thick and fast, because we've got a whirlwind of a brand new calendar for this new season. As you can clearly see, we've got a bit of a mixed up order for once now in My Team career mode. Thanks to a beautiful calendar swap mod, we've been able to edit the calendar and change things up. I've kind of grouped races together where it makes geographical sense. So now Canada is round 13 right next to Mexico, so it's very close in terms of proximity. The start this season, we fly all the way to Australia, one of the original starts of the season, then go to Sao Paulo, an early race at Brazil like we used to years and years ago in Formula 1. Then we hop back to Bahrain and kick off a full European portion of the season before ending with a load of flyaways. And we're going to end the season off with a very fiery Saudi Arabian Grand Prix into the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. That was a winning combination, I feel, on F1 2021. Those two races together at the end of the season, I think, in my opinion, was so awesome, because the racing on the game, at least, is insane around those two circuits, especially Jeddah as the second last race. That's going to be an absolute firecracker to set the finale up. And then we've got the brand new track in the form of Portimao for the very first time in My Team career mode on this game. So I'm really excited to get this new custom-made calendar off the ground. It's going to be pretty awesome going from race to race in a different order. But without further ado now, I think it's time to check out our brand new car for this season. And here it is. We retain our partnership with Audi Sport, but in comes a brand new title sponsor in the form of Martini. Yes, the iconic red and double blue stripes of Martini are back in Formula 1. We've got a Martini X Audi Sport livery for this Season 4, and I love it. It's been a long while since I've driven a car with a Martini F1 livery. I think you have to go all the way back to maybe F1 2014 or 15 since the last time I drove a career mode car with these stripes, and they are truly iconic. And what an iconic partnership to pair it with Audi Sport. A new set of aerodynamic regulations also for this season means an all-new chassis and car shape. It's a very different one to what we had last season, especially around the side pod and the front nose cone area, but hopefully this car will be one I can grow to love a lot quicker than I did with last season's one. Last season's one was a bit of a bucking bronco, a bit of an understeer machine sometimes, and I'm hoping this new direction of car design in a brand new set of regulations could be one that I can take to the top of Formula 1 and finally crack that Drivers' Championship. Fourth time lucky? Who knows? Who knows? But along with the car now having Martini colours, our overalls and helmet now adorn the Martini stripes. And I think it just works so well. Like, I was actually really surprised how complementary the Martini colours and logos are with what we already had from last season of the base Audi Sport AAR design. And it just works so well for myself and Carlos Sainz, because yes, my new teammate for Season 4 is the Spaniard. There have been rumours in real life about Audi wanting to maybe snap up Carlos Sainz's services. So we've made it happen in the F1 22 My Team Career Mode game here. Sainz is my brand new teammate. 96 rated, could be more by the time we get to the first race of the season with some activity timeline boosters. But this gets me on to then the big reveal. What on earth is going on with me signing two different teammates? Well, Audi Sport have expanded their operation. They have taken over the Sauber F1 team, just as they are going to do in real life. Here in Season 4, Audi have taken over Sauber, and that is now their official works team. They're still working with us, with AAR as a partnership, but now the Sauber F1 team is home to Audi Sport's works in Formula 1. Sebastian Vettel did put pen to paper for a second year with Audi Sport, but the deal was to move him over to their new works team to partner Valtteri Bottas. Of course, Bottas was already at this team in Season 3. He's been retained. They've given Felipe Drogovic the boot, and in comes the reigning world champion, the Weltmeister, Sebastian Vettel. It's a big vote in confidence for Audi to expand themselves in the sport like this, and obviously with the racing we've seen in the last two seasons, it's no surprise why. So this is going to be quite odd. For the first time, I'm part of a two-team family, and are there going to be fireworks between the two different Audi Sport teams? I wonder. We're going to have to see. But yeah, our new teammate is Carlos Sainz, and Sebastian Vettel is still on this grid driving for an Audi team. We then move over to McLaren Mercedes, or should I say Vodafone McLaren Mercedes, because they have brought in their old sponsor and bring back the iconic chrome, silver and red livery. They retain their partnership drivers of Pierre Gasly and Lando Norris. Of course, Pierre Gasly, up until the final race, was right in the fight for the Drivers' Championship. Operationally, maybe they didn't get things right last season, and that saw ultimately Gasly fall down the order. Maybe with a bit more luck and operational slickness, they could finally break that duck and get one of the championships. I mean, it's a very strong partnership. 92 rated Lando Norris, 87 Gasly, but we've seen how quick that 87 rated French driver has been last season. So now, with this old familiar look to the car, could they get one of those old familiar championships they were so used to getting in previous years? It's a big change and a shock exit for Max Verstappen as we now come to Red Bull Honda. Verstappen, fed up with how the last season went, has left the team, and they've been forced to promote Yuki Tsunoda into their vacancy alongside Alexander Albon. Red Bull as a team, they'll be upset. They were so close to getting the championship. They had such a difficult start to Season 3, but brought it back and showed ultimately they still probably were the quickest team from Season 2 to Season 3, but it just wasn't enough to get the championship or retain Max Verstappen, the double world champion in this alternate F1 universe, having won Season 1, of course. So Verstappen's left. Tsunoda, though, is a massive prospect. He did get a win last season in the underdog. Remember, the Austrian Grand Prix, he led a 1-2 for AlphaTauri. So Tsunoda has got a bit of pedigree in this alternate F1 universe. He's proven himself. And so I'm actually massively excited to see how Yuki does alongside Albon in this Red Bull Honda. In the background as well, things have changed dramatically. Red Bull feel maybe they lost a bit of focus with trying to do too much in Formula 1, and they have boarded up shop and sold AlphaTauri. So this is their only team in Formula 1. Will that laser focus be enough to get them another championship? And as for who's bought the AlphaTauri team, all will be revealed soon enough. But let's move on to our next team, the team in yellow, because Alpine have become Renault once more. And you can see the old familiar lineup and teammate pairing of Verstappen and Sergio Perez. Yep, Renault have signed Max Verstappen to go alongside his former teammate Sergio Perez, hoping that the renewed old teammate partnership could gel right from the get-go and produce points, podiums, and maybe race wins. This team was one of the dark horses last season, winning a couple of races, and they steadily grew in terms of R&D. So if they continue that kind of rate of development, depending on where their cars start after this regulation change, this could be one of the best teams on the grid. I mean, certainly as a driver lineup, that is a very, very strong lineup. 96 rated Max Verstappen. Of course, remember, Lewis Hamilton has retired at the end of last season, so Verstappen is the highest rated driver by a decent margin. Perez 90 rated. In yellow, once again, a lovely, different looking car for Season 4. I am very excited to see what they can do. If they upgrade at the same rate they did in last season, they're going to be scarily good maybe at the halfway point of Season 4. But with a massive regulation change coming to the aero and engine, in comes fresh interest and challenges in Formula 1, because Porsche have entered Formula 1 in this alternate F1 universe, but they partnered with Williams Racing. So I introduce you to Porsche Williams Racing, and at this spearhead is Esteban Ocon. After being dropped by Renault, he was enticed to become a team leader and a figurehead for the new Porsche project in Formula 1. Alongside Kevin Magnussen, a decent driver. He's had actually some very good results for the Williams team ever since he moved there in Season 2. And this is going to be quite an exciting one. It's going to start off slow because, of course, the Williams team itself was one of the lower teams, but they have been very scrappy. They've been known to score more points than their car should be getting in the last 2 seasons, I would say. If you look at some of the results, odd ones out, you know, some amazing results, actually, if you really think about it. And they've been very, very good in a straight line. So, coupled with Porsche, this could be a very interesting look. Could they try and climb up the order in the same way as Alpine have done in the past? And with all these new challenges in the sport, Mercedes, one of the old guard, had to do something drastic to combat. They just lost their 8-time world champion, Lewis Hamilton, to retirement. So they have managed to pull off one of the most shocking transfers you'll see in Formula 1. Leclerc, the Ferrari golden boy, has left the stable of the Scuderia, and he is now in black in Mercedes overalls and partners George Russell. A brand new title sponsor and a lick of paint, and hopefully a new era the Silver Arrows will be hoping for, with Leclerc annoyed at losing out in the Drivers' Championship narrowly last season. I'm sure Mercedes have also thrown a hefty budget at him to secure his services. This is probably one of the most surprising and shocking transfers I've had in a while that the game's chucked up. I was absolutely, my jaw was on the floor when I saw Leclerc in Mercedes overalls. Very, very surprised the game threw that up, because we've seen the pattern of Verstappen going to Merc quite a few times in previous My Team career modes on the last 2 games. So for Leclerc to move, I was very surprised, but this could be a very, very exciting team indeed. But now you may be wondering, where does that leave Ferrari? Because a lot of the top talent has already been nailed down at other teams. Well, it means that the Schumacher name has returned to Ferrari, because Ferrari have had to go just for youth and inexperience, because they've got no other options. They retain Oscar Piastri, who has been growing well as a driver, to be fair, now 79 rated, but they've had to steal away Mick Schumacher from Repsol Haas. It's quite amazing to see the Schumacher name back in red under the Prancing Horse banner, but whether this is going to be a winning combination is another thing. Last season, Leclerc pulled the heavyweight and was really carrying this team team on his back in terms of being in a Drivers' Championship fight. In the Constructors, due to Piastri's lack of points, they weren't really in it and were in the mid-pack in terms of the Constructors standing. So now it's Schumacher and Piastri. Who knows? And also remember, with a big regulation change, will Ferrari even retain enough pace to give them a chance? It really has been a rocky road for the Ferrari team ever since Season 1 on this year's game. But it's going to be massively exciting nonetheless to see how Mick Schumacher does in the Ferrari alongside Piastri. Now you'll notice that leaves Repsol Haas with no drivers, as Sainz has come to our team and Schumacher has left. And that means it's an all-new driver lineup for Repsol Haas. Felipe Drogovic, our very first teammate on this game, alongside Robert Schwartzman, previously at Williams. Now, Repsol Haas, they became Repsol Haas at the start of Season 3 after winning a race with Schumacher in Mexico in Season 2. We all thought maybe Haas would continue that upward trajectory, a fresh cash injection of all these new sponsors, but they really fell flat last season, and so they've had to default to a very junior, inexperienced lineup now after a very poor Season 3. But this car's look and team really deserves a bit more, so let's hope Drogovic and Schwartzman maybe could pull some surprise results out in the bag, and we'll see how they do in what is, I'm sure, going to be a very tough fight at the bottom end of the grid. Joining them will be Aston Martin. They've really struggled to break out the pattern of being just on the edge of the bottom of the midfield. They retain their driver lineup of Lance Stroll and Theo Pourchaire. Pourchaire with some actually pretty decent races, actually, and won a few times. Even both of them have been in quite lofty positions, but they've also been a bit of a bottling team, and they've bottled quite a lot of high positions that could have gained them a lot of points. So let's see if Season 4 could be a bit different. They've got a brand new chassis look due to the new Sports livery update, so let's see if that's going to bring them any different fortunes for this brand new season. And so now that brings us very neatly to the final team, the brand new team on this grid, the team that bought AlphaTauri's slot on this grid, and it is none other than Andretti. Yep, Andretti Autosport have entered Formula 1. IRL, there have been rumours, murmurings of Andretti trying to maybe secure some sort of deal to get on the grid. So here in this alternate F1 universe of ours on the game, they've done just that. They are Andretti Autosport Honda, as they retain the same power unit supplier as the team they have bought out. Now, you may be wondering, who on earth is going to pilot this brand new and second American team on the grid? Who are they going to go for? They'll want to go for someone with pedigree, with some speed, and they can market well to the American audience. Well, it's none other than Fernando Alonso, having taken another sabbatical out of the sport. 2 years he's been out of this career mode. He has come back onto the grid to drive for Andretti alongside Liam Lawson. He was already at the team that they bought out, and they've decided to keep him. They saw a bit of potential in him. He did get that second place, of course, in that 1-2 for AlphaTauri at the Red Bull Ring, and alongside Alonso, maybe he could learn a thing or two. But Fernando Alonso is back in Formula 1 for the third time. It's his second ever return back to the sport, and it's with a very new and exciting team. But it's not going to be easy for them coming in the middle of a regulation change. It's not going to be easy for anyone, because it was quite a huge change. You know, most of us had nearly got maxed out on the aero and engine department, and so going into the brand new season, just before we get into episode 1 of that season, this is what the R&D chart looks like. Red Bull surprisingly retain the top spot. Rumours and murmurings, though, potentially, that they may be fudged the cost cap. So we're going to have to brace ourselves for maybe further updates on that later on in Season 4. But you can see that Audi Sport Works team is now 4th place in the standings. That's where Vettel is, and our Martini Audi partnership is actually below the Works team. So it's actually a positive move for Sebastian Vettel going to the Works Audi team. Renault lose quite a bit of their pace from last season, so Verstappen may be a bit irked at that, but as I said, they have got so much potential of growing quickly as they did last season. You can see at the bottom, it's going to be a real big scrap for our 2 American teams of Haas and Andretti, with Aston Martin joining them, and also Ferrari, who have had a howler over the winter. But for now, we're going to pause the chat on the pecking order and leave it to all these teams to do the talking out on the track in episode 1 of this season, which is coming out tomorrow, guys. So be sure to get subscribed for that. I'm going to leave you guys with one last surprise and big change for this new season on this game. Can you guess what it is? Yep, your ears aren't deceiving you. It is engine music to the ears. Guys, if you have enjoyed this preseason episode, then be sure to hit that like button. If you're excited for this brand new season, then let me know in the comments below which part of this video has made you the most excited for this upcoming season of My Team Career Minute. Like I said, if you're new around here, then do get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content, and crucially, episode 1 of this new season tomorrow evening, UK time. Till then, guys, hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Goodbye.